Welcome to Building a Bigger Booty. My name is Webster-Heenan. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, certified strength and conditioning specialist, as well as an online fitness coach. In this series, we're going to break down all the components of how to build a bigger booty. Obviously, you guys have seen my results. You know that it works, and I want to help you build a bigger booty and do it all for free. So with my help in this series, I'm going to teach you guys in-depth tips for in the gym, out of the gym, everything you need to know from exercise selection, programming, performance of each exercise, how to choose the right foods to eat, even how to prep the right foods to eat, cooking, cleanup, everything. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a post, because I promise there's going to be a lot of good content coming. When it comes to building muscle, we can sum it up in three main categories that we need to focus on. Number one, what you do in the gym. This is going to be your exercise selection, your programming, your actual workouts that you do, how you progress in them. Number two, it's going to be what you do outside of the gym. This is going to be really important because when you think about the time spent in the gym versus time spent out of the gym, you spend a lot more time outside of the gym. This is your diet, your sleep, recovery, everything else that you can control outside of the gym. And number three is going to be patience. It is a slow and sometimes painful process in order to build more muscle. And in this series, we're going to break down each of these three components and break down how you can perform better in the gym, better outside of the gym, and patience is a virtue. That's something you're just going to have to learn on your own. When it comes to what you do in the gym, the first thing that's going to be important is your exercise selection, choosing the right exercises. Now, there are a ton of great exercises out there, so how do you go about this? I like to follow a pattern of these few movements here, having some kind of squat pattern. That can be a barbell squat, a dumbbell squat, that can be a hack squat, even a leg press kind of works for this as well. And then having a hip hinge, so some form of RDL, typically. You can do it banded, barbell, dumbbell, cable, so on. Some kind of unilateral work, split squats, leg press, you name it, lunges even. And then finally, some kind of isolation movement. So whether it's cable abduction, machine abduction, some form of isolation work, whether it's even just a hip extension, hyperextension, that is going to be a great way to also train the glutes. For today, we're going to spend a little bit of time in the gym breaking down some exercise selection as well as performance. So let's roll those clips now. Now, it doesn't matter what muscle group you're training, warm-up is always going to be essential. So for me, when training legs, training glutes, I like to typically warm up the quads as well as the hips. So starting with some seated hip abduction here. And again, we're always going to be focusing on what we're doing, why we're doing it. So we're squeezing the glutes here in a nice lean back position here. And just focusing on getting some blood flow to the muscle. This is not our first movement. This is just our warm-up. So doing a few sets of this can help with that mind-muscle connection. Starting to feel the muscle connect, engage, turn on, whatever you want to call it. The goal of this exercise right now for me is just to warm up, just to get primed for moving for the day. You can use this exercise later as an isolation, take it to failure, work it hard. But right now, that's not the goal. The goal is just to feel it, warm up, and pre-fatigue, kind of pre-exhaust the muscle for our main working sets, because we're going to get more stimulus out of the working sets and exercises we do first. So, the very first movement we're going to be performing is a squat. Now, squats, there's a lot of great research showing benefits of squats for growing your legs overall, quads, glutes, everything. The thing I want you guys to take note of is how I'm squatting. I will put it side by side in a second here. We can squat like so, a nice narrow stance, getting depth as best as we can, and then back up. Or we can also choose to squat like this. Our feet behind us a little bit more, a little bit lower bar placement. Now, let's compare the two of those side by side and discuss which is going to be better for the glutes. So the first squat, this is how I prefer to squat. Nice narrow foot placement, using my plates to elevate my heels. Torso remains pretty upright. Or get the feet a little wider, a little bit behind us even. Bar placement is a little bit lower. And we come down like so. Now, it should be more evident from the side view. One of these is going to be more knee dominant. One of these is going to be more hip dominant. Quads crossing at the knee here, like this full knee bent position. Obviously, yes, glutes are on stretch here too, but if we can get this more hip dominant, where it's the hips are initiating the movement, like so, it's going to be more of a glute dominant movement. I prefer to squat close, emphasizing full knee bend, focusing more on quads, as I am more glute dominant by nature, but know the difference. Regardless of what exercise we do, warm-up is essentially, regardless of what exercise we're doing, warm-up is essential, cannot be skipped. And I really want you guys to focus and get the idea that we're building up to some heavy sets where we're going to take it to failure and really work it hard and not just go through the motions. All right, now that we are appropriately warmed up, it's time to hit a top set. I want to show you what this looks like. Goal is somewhere between 5 to 8 reps. I got this last week for 6, and that's the goal. The goal is to progress, get more reps, maybe get 8 today. As far as warm-up sets go, typically if I'm going to do any kind of barbell work, start with the bar, then I'll throw a plate on, then maybe 2 plates. But in general, rule of thumb, 2 to 3 sets of a warm-up set before your first working set. So let's get into this. Let me show you what a top set looks like. Certainly could even got one more rep there, but training hard, training when you want 8 reps, you get 4 and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I get 8. That is the key, especially when it comes to building legs and glutes. Now, no glute or leg day or even self-respecting posterior chain day can be complete without an RDL. So let's go over it. Barbell first, and the glutes. Main actions of the glutes is hip extension, hip abduction. We can achieve that with a squat pattern, leg press, hip thrust, or RDL. So it's helpful to keep that in mind that this is a hip extension. This bar is going to graze down my shins, my thighs, as my hips go back out and extend. Like so, stretching the hamstrings and come back up. Now, more hamstring bias, it's going to be really stiff leg. Like so, all the tensions in the hamstrings. More glute bias RDL. Again, hips go back out, slight bend in the knees here. More glutes, less hamstrings, but both are going to train both parts of the posterior chain. Of course, today we're rocking LSKD, 1% better. Of course, that's always the goal with any kind of training, especially building glutes. It's 1% better every day. I'm not going to do it overnight. Just get a little bit better every day. So with the barbell RDL, I love if you have bumper plates to use a bumper plate, because that way the bar is starting here versus all the way down. So unless you're at a 45 plate, but other plates are usually smaller. So you can grab a bumper 10, get to set at the right height, or stack some plates under it. Should be about mid shin height. I like to grab it just outside my feet, shoulder width apart. Straight up, get set. Hips are going to hinge first, like so. Keep a neutral spine. I like to kind of just look at the floor, somewhere straight in front of me, and come back up like so. Nice and slow. It's like a 3-second count here, controlling it down. Pause, squeeze up. It's almost like you're thrusting into the bar as you come back up. Don't overextend, because you might hurt your lower back. So just from here, up, squeeze, and control back down. Now for me, that's good for warm-ups. Let's get into some working sets, and we'll switch the angle too. Go a different angle here just so you can appreciate what this should look like from the side. Now obviously, as you're doing this in practice, I don't want you to be turning to the side the whole time, because that's going to tweak your form. If you can, video yourself, get a friend to video yourself, or just really use these as cues. So again, shoulder width apart here. We're going to get all the tension out, tuck the hips down, get it up, and from here we're grazing down the thighs, controlling down, pause, and back up. You can go all the way down. That's only if your mobility allows you to. You really don't need to come much lower, just below your knee height. And now, to address the comments before I get them, sorry, I don't want to get them. Will you feel this in your lower back? Yes. Is that okay? Yes. It shouldn't be painful, but you should feel it. Because naturally, your spinal erectors are working to keep you upright and your low back from not rounding. So if you feel this in your low back, totally fine, totally normal. Now I know you're going to ask, can I do this with dumbbells? Can I do this on a Smith machine? Can I do this with cables? Answer is yes. When picking any kind of movement, what you want to identify is, do you like it? Does it fit your needs? And how stable is it? And how well can you progress it? So for me, barbell is going to be best because I can load it up heavier. My grip can usually handle elsewhere. Obviously, using straps as needed, so grip is not the limiting factor. This is a leg exercise, not a grip strength. But Smith machine works fine. Dumbbells work fine. Might even be more comfortable to hold 2 dumbbells versus 1 barbell. Cables work fine. It's what do you enjoy doing most? What's most comfortable for you? And can you easily progress it week to week? That's what you need to do in order to see results. Now, no matter how you do your split squats, you're going to train the glutes, you're going to train the quads, even a little bit of hamstring. But obviously, you guys are here to build the glutes, so I'm going to show you how to bias and best for glutes. First, I like to set up in a Smith machine rack. You can just use a regular rack too. Just something this is more comfortable for me to set my foot on than it is to set up on a bench. So I'll have the pad here, get my footing. And now, if we're wanting to go traditional quad, we're going to want knees to be over the toes, right? So foot's going to be coming back in a little bit, emphasizing as much knee bend as we can with a more upright torso. That's going to be your quad. And glute, if it's going to come out a bit further, then you're going to want to emphasize a bit more of a hip angle here. So leaning forward, knees are behind the toes, and it's going to look like so. So from here versus here. Subtle difference, but it makes all the difference. But at the end of the day, do your split squats, do them heavy, and you can't go wrong. Also, I like 2 dumbbells. You can hold 1. Doesn't really matter. It's just your preference. You can even do it with a barbell on your back. When it comes to building muscle, nutrition is arguably most important. So what you can do at home, beginning with nutrition, we'll get into sleep, recovery, everything else soon. Keep it simple. A calorie surplus is all you need in order to build muscle. We can break this down further into proteins, carbs, fats, and to keep it simple for this video, proteins build muscle, carbs give you energy to fuel your workouts and build muscle. Fats, we got to keep these high to keep hormones in check and in balance. Above all else, if you're serious about building muscle and building bigger glutes, you need to have patience. It's going to consist of doing the same workouts, eating a lot of the same foods for long periods of time over and over until eventually you see the results. There's a lot of flashy workouts that you can do out there, a lot of advanced techniques, but a lot of it just comes down to the basics consistently over time and getting those right 80 to 90% of the time. So with my help in this series, I'm going to teach you guys in-depth tips for in the gym, out of the gym, everything you need to know from exercise selection, programming, performance of each exercise, how to choose the right foods to eat, even how to prep the right foods to eat, cooking, cleanup, everything. So I hope you guys are excited for this. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll be posting more content coming soon.